called Scales for Rating Behavioral Characteristics of Superior Students. So anyway, in addition to students being identified in the second grade for third grade, there's also an on-ramp into the Telescope Math program starting in fourth grade, which is available to third grade students who didn't achieve qualifying scores in second grade or recently moved into the school district. And these students must qualify by taking some assessments, including the MAP math test, the COGET test, and an end-of-year G&T math test. The district's Telescope Math program is now in its third year, and the first group of identified students is in fifth grade. A new sixth grade math course called Accelerated Math 6 will be offered in fall 2018 to fifth grade students who are currently in the Telescope Math program, and additional fifth grade students may also be eligible based on their fifth grade MAP score given in May and an additional district assessment. Dr. Heineman also reviewed 3 letters that will be sent to parents in April. A letter describing an on-ramp for grade 3 students, a letter to second grade parents, and a letter to fifth grade students about Accelerated Math 6. The committee also discussed potential opportunities for expanding the current Gifted and Talented program to include English language arts. So the assessments that are currently used in the district assess math ability, but do not identify students who are gifted in English language arts and other subject areas. So some students already meet curriculum standards in reading and writing, and these students should also have opportunities for continued academic growth. Dr. Heineman said that the MAP test could be used as a tool to identify students who are gifted in ELA, and some additional other tests could be administered. So there are also other ways we talked about potentially to provide some support for some enriched instruction in the ELA program. The next thing that we talked about was trimester reporting in grades 2 and 3. So in next school year, 2018-19, the new standards-based report card format will be used in grades K through 2. Grade 3 report cards will be issued on a trimester schedule, but they will not use the new format next year. The new format for grade 3 will be implemented in the 2019-20 school year. We also discussed some follow-up questions on the K through 5 social studies and music K through 12 program evaluations. So for the social studies, one item we talked about was support for struggling readers. And Ms. Fox, the social studies supervisor, noted that there is no in-class support for struggling readers in K through 5 social studies. And one of the recommendations in the program evaluation is to provide appropriate below grade level reading materials to help these students out. And then we also discussed very briefly the Native American Study Unit, and students study Native Americans in grades 2 and grade 4. And in 2, they learn about regional Native Americans, and in grade 4, they study the Lenni Lenape, who are specifically lived in New Jersey. And then for the music K through 12, a question was raised about honors credit for music courses at Ridge, and Mr. Fackelman reviewed the honors credit offered for 3 music courses. Wind ensemble honors credit is available for all students, and in symphony orchestra, honors credit is available for students in grades 11 and 12. And to be eligible, the students must earn an A- or higher in chamber orchestra in grades 9 and 10, and then audition for symphony orchestra. And a cappella choir students who have participated in a cappella for 2 years are eligible for honors credit starting in the 3rd year at the discretion of the choral director. And the committee also discussed honors credit as it relates to the general issue of weighted grades at Ridge. The next item was curriculum changes in the honors chemistry class. The honors chemistry is going to be revised this summer 2018, because many students are struggling with the course material. The course units will be reordered For example, the language of chemistry will be, which is names and formulas, will be moved to the beginning of the course in September. Mr. Miziak said that stoichiometry, which requires students to calculate a balanced chemical equation, is an especially challenging topic that requires Algebra 2 math skills. Mr. Miziak is not currently recommending changing the criteria for taking honors chemistry, but he may change them in the future. He noted that 225 students are scheduled to take honors chemistry in the 2018-19 school year. He plans to place up to 36 students in each section of honors chemistry and keep the class size in college prep chemistry at around 20 students. The next item is there was a question about the economics content in the new AP US Government and Politics/Economics class. Ms. Fox said that the revised course keeps important elements of economic theory, but does not include test preparation for the AP Economics test. We also talked about summer assignments. The Ridge English Language Arts teachers are planning to select 16 books to be potential choice books for summer assignments. And then they are going to have the students vote to determine the top 4 choice books, and those are going to be the choice books for summer 2018. And then we very briefly talked about a potential half-year SAT, ACT prep course for the 2019-20 school year, and this will be covered at the April curriculum meeting. Does anybody have any questions?
I have loads of questions.
Mrs. Korn?
Okay. A couple on the specializing the 4th and 5th grade, the platooning. I don't know, I was like, I don't know, it came out of nowhere for me, but I was looking at it, is that like where you, so the teachers would change classes, the teachers would move, and the students would stay put?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, I don't think the logistics have been worked out yet. They're just looking at it to
Just
see if
looking
it's a
to-
possibility, to see if it could
Right.
even be scheduled.
Right. Sounding a little
And they're
middle
just
school
looking
to me.
at 5th grade right
Just
now.
fifth- oh,
Just 5th grade.
Okay.
Right.
This says
Yeah.
4th and 5th, I just was.
I know, that's what it said, but the only thing that's being looked at right now
Right
is
now would be fifth
potentially
grade.
doing it in 5th grade.
Okay. Okay. I'll wait till ask more questions later. And then my favorite subject is the Gifted and Talented program. So all the tests we give, none of those tests are IQ tests, is that correct?
Just the COGAT's in second.
That's not an IQ test though, right?
No, it's not an actual IQ test, no.
Okay, just asking. Second thing is that are we just discussing extending it to the ELA program, or is it just like, we're just throwing it out there like is that like a thing that's happening?
It was a discussion about that people would like to see more enrichment activities for English
talking
language
about
arts.
enrichment.
Right.
And we
Not
were,
extending the G&T program.
we were talking about ways to identify the kids who need it and finding ways to do it during during like writing and reading workshop, in the workshop model and things like that. So it was more talking about whether or not we'd want to formally identify which kids, you know, the teachers already know which kids need enrichment in their classrooms, but whether we would be formally doing any kind of identification.
So we're not talking about hiring new teachers
No,
or anything like that?
No,
Just to
not
be-
anything like
Just
that.
to clarify
Right,
what we're talking about.
yeah.
Talking about
And-
enrichment for kids who are good readers and that might want a little bit more. Is that, you know?
We were also talking about the use of the reading specialists to help look at data and try to help the classroom teachers, which is part of their function.
Right, because they're helping
already.
kids who need help in reading and then
Right,
also
so regardless
enrich
of the
kids who are-
range of the abilities,
ahead.
top to bottom, to help select materials for
Okay.
readers that may be ahead of grade level.
Yeah, and having enrichment opportunities for kids in subjects besides math is something that I know the curriculum committee and the board has been interested in. So it was, it was an opportunity to talk about
I
potential
just want
ways
to
to.
become a runaway train, that's all. I'm just
Pardon me?
like-
You-
Like
you
a
just
runaway
want-
train with all this, I don't know, I get
Okay,
nervous
okay.
when I'm asking the questions. I should have emailed you, I'm sorry, but I didn't. And I have one more question regarding the math, like the accelerated math program. Do we have any kind of numbers about the kids who started in second grade and how many have lasted through the whole thing and how many have not? And if they've kept up, or if they're not keeping up, are they kind of like pushed out, or like what's the criteria for staying in? They have to keep a certain grade point average, and or do they have tutors keeping them in the accelerated math class? That's just like, do we have any numbers on that?
Dr. Heineman, do we know, I don't know, I don't think we're tracking tutors, but in terms of the success rate, so far, I don't think we've had students leaving the program. In fact, I think they've progressed pretty rapidly through the extra content from what we've seen.
So everyone from second grade is still in the program now? Okay, so no one's had to drop out or anything? Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, are they still in the same school, in the same program, but they, huh? I realize that. Huh? Right. But they were started in second grade, in second and fifth grade.
Well,
to
they
me,
started in third grade.
on third grade.
They
but
were
took their test
identified in
second
second
grade.
grade.
This is the third year.
The third year in it, right? So the kids who
For that
took it are
first
now going into sixth grade, is that correct?
Right.
Okay, I'm just, it's a big change to me in kids in that age, and it's very different curriculum, it would seem. So, I just wanted to see how it was going.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
I actually do. I have a question about what the impetus is to potentially start a course on SAT prep. I guess my concern with that is kids spending 5 days a week for an entire semester learning how to improve their scores. What are they giving up? What other course that might help them more in the future than just performing on a test? And I worry about the message that we might be sending to students offering this, that the only way that they can perform well on the SATs is if they enroll in taking a test prep for an entire semester.
I just want to address your point by saying this was something that was offered years and years ago through Ridge High School, and it disappeared due to lack of enrollment. So I think it's in its preliminary discussion stages. There's been inquiry into whether or not it'd be possible, but only enrollment would, or desire would drive whether or not it would even be possible.
Because we do offer, granted it's not during the school day, but there are SAT classes that are offered at Ridge for those parents who choose to have their children do that.
I mean, there has been some interest expressed by parents, and I assume students, but who knows, about having it during the day because kids are so busy after school, and a lot of schools do offer it. So we thought it was at least something we should look at, because it was a lot of years ago when it was discontinued at Ridge because of lack of enrollment. So we just kind of wanted to know the history of it, because people are asking why do other schools have it and we don't. So we put it on there to discuss and look at the history and see. Any other questions about curriculum? Okay, we're up to the Advocacy Committee.
Nothing.
Okay, nothing for advocacy. It was snowed out, right?
Right.
Like a lot of other things. Are there any liaison or committee reports? No. And what about the ad hoc SEL committee?
Also snowed out.
No,
Also snowed out.
Snowed out too. Okay. Okay, everything was snowed out. Okay, so now we're up to public comment on non-agenda items. If anyone is coming up, please sign in on the clipboard and tell us your name and address when you come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Hello again. This time we'll try to make it a little bit more organized. I'm a little bit more prepared now.
Can you just repeat your name and address again for this time? Thank you.
I don't think I did it last time either. But Archana Kapoor, 23 Talmadge Lane. Respected board members, we are here today to make Diwali the most important Indian religious festival a school holiday. In the last 25 years, after traveling the world and living all over America, when my husband told us we are moving to Baskin Ridge, New Jersey, we as a family were ecstatic. In our minds, we were moving into mini India, where there is a big cluster of Indians living, where we would be able to eat our Indian ethnic food just around the corner, and where we would be able to celebrate Diwali, our most important religious holiday, with our friends and family, just like we did back home. We live in a country where the White House lights lamps on Diwali, a state where Diwali is recognized as an Indian religious festival, and in a town where fireworks are legal, now helping spread the cheer and spirit of Diwali. And then came the most devastating moment for us as a family who were new to Baskin Ridge, when my son came back from school and told us he does not have a holiday for Diwali. I asked, why not? As new to the state, with so many Indians all around us, it made no sense to me. And to make matters worse, my dear friend calls me from Short Hills, Melbourne, and says excitedly, hey, we are looking forward to coming over to give you the sweets and go to the temple next door, your house, with our family on Diwali Day, as their school had an official holiday this year. My son was dejected once again. Once again, he was deprived of an opportunity to celebrate Diwali on the actual day and demonstrate his pride in his heritage and in his religion. He is born in the US and has imbibed the best of American and Indian culture. For him, Diwali symbolizes his religion, tradition, and his roots that he wants to hold on to as an American Indian and proudly pass it to the future generation. Celebrating Diwali for the Indian children is a religious need, not a want. And that need needs to be met. We need a religious holiday for our children. Thank you. I'm now going to hand it over to my good friend, Rajiv.
Thanks, Archana. Well, just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Rajiv Naidu. My son goes to second grade in Mount Prospect Elementary, and my daughter will be joining Mount Prospect very soon in fall. As you can see, I think the topic for this particular item is the need to add Diwali to our school calendar. There's a deck, a presentation that I've just distributed. I think this talks a lot more about the details and the specifics. Happy to share an email and the deck to whoever needs it as well. But what I would like to say is that we are a very diverse town, right? And we need to be proactive in recognizing this diversity, as well accepting this diversity and celebrating it, right? At this point, we have around 25% of this town is Asians, and more than half of that is Indians. And I would say that Indians at this point, and there is data to prove that in this presentation, is the fastest and is the largest and the fastest growing demographic in this particular town. And we need to recognize this diversity and celebrate it, right? And it is not something that we have not been doing in this town, right? We have been celebrating diversity through religious holidays, like we celebrate the Christian holidays, we celebrate the Jewish holidays. And in the Indian community is actually very secular. Like we celebrate religious holidays of all faiths, and we have been doing this throughout. But what we are asking right now is essentially the need to be consistent in recognizing these holidays. What I would say is that we are talking about Diwali, and Diwali is the single most important religion for Indians. This is essentially, it signifies the victory of good over evil, signifies knowledge over darkness. The way it is celebrated is that the families would go to the temple, as Archana pointed out, would go to the temple during the day with their families, have prayer meetings, and then in the evenings, we essentially end up lighting lamps and firecrackers, which is great for the families to come together as well as for the kids. What I would also like to say is that we are extremely late in now recognizing Diwali for this particular town. I would like to say that Diwali is already recognized at the national, state, and local level. At a national level, it is already publicly celebrated very much by the White House. At the state level, Governor Chris Christie has actually recognized Diwali and essentially allowed fireworks and firecrackers to be put on sale before the Diwali celebration. It happened as of last year. At a local level, in the state of New Jersey, there are around 7 school districts that are already celebrating Diwali. Even in New York, there are 7 schools that are celebrating Diwali. There are essentially 2 school districts in Pennsylvania who have actually started celebrating Diwali. So what I would say is that we're already late in celebrating Diwali here in our town, which is so diverse. What I would also like to add is that this is not the first time that this request is also being made. It has actually, I think the first time this request was made was around 5 years back. And so we've come a long time now. It's a long time coming. And essentially at this point, even as of last year, more than 50% of the Indian students in the school district took the day off as of Diwali. And finally, what I would like to say is that I would like my child to be treated as equal as others, and the school board needs to reinforce that with other children, that my child's faith is equally important. And I think doing so is actually a great learning opportunity for students, because celebrating diversity is actually all about showcasing tolerance for others. It is about even understanding the differences and essentially being more self-confident about understanding and recognizes the differences that we have, which is great for students to learn at this particular age. So my ask, as is also in the presentation and what Archana said, is that can you please add Diwali to our school calendar so that we can now celebrate the rich diversity that we have of our town. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karthik, and I'm just your average junior at Ridge High School. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you for making this district the gem it is. And I'm here to talk about my perspective on the Hindu festival of Diwali and whether or not it should be given as a school holiday. There are hundreds of festivals in Hinduism, yet we're asking only for one. There are hundreds of believers in our school, yet we're asking only for one. We're not petitioning for 10 days of Navaratri or the week-long celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi. We're asking for one day of Diwali, one day of reverence, remembrance, and celebration. All people and religions in this country are treated equal. So why is it that we, as those believing in the Hindu faith, must struggle and petition in order to get a single day? Never mind that fact. Multiple high schools such as Glenrock and Milburn have already approved Diwali as a holiday, setting a precedent for us all. So why are we still behind? Throughout the year, there's Christmas and Hanukkah, but each time, holidays such as Diwali are seemingly sidelined. And I ask myself, where's the tolerance I expect from America and our school in its whole? Last year, on the Friday before Diwali, I wore my kurta, which is a form of traditional Indian clothing, to school. All my friends were intrigued by my attire and inquired what was going on. I then explained to them about Diwali and how it is a pivotal festival in Hindu culture. My friends and the people around me would never have known anything about the Hindu festival of Diwali, nor my cultural identity, if I hadn't gone out there and told them about it. In my opinion, ignorance is not tolerance. The only way to bring about awareness and acceptance among all is to get rid of this ignorance, is to institutionalize Diwali as a school holiday where all can celebrate and understand the diversity and culture of others. I wish for my culture and tradition to be among those respected and noticed by everyone else. Furthermore, even if approved as a religious holiday already, just so you can take a day off, taking a day off while everyone else is in school impacts our academic lives as students. From coordinating with students to finding time after school to make up tests to changing due dates to keeping track of everything while trying to do your work for the current day all at the same time, it's frankly not fair for someone just trying to practice their religious faith and beliefs. Furthermore, Diwali is not a holiday of obscurity. It is a major pivotal holiday celebrated in all parts of India, and not just in India. In fact, Congress has celebrated its 4th national Diwali celebration. Therefore, I stand firmly in petitioning for Diwali to be made into a school-wide holiday, and in conclusion, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to voice my thoughts.
Okay, so my name is Kavya Lipatti, and I'm a current senior, and I'm the president of the Rich South Asian Culture Club. So on behalf of all the 62 students of SAC, we are requesting the board to grant Diwali as a holiday on the school calendar. To the Indian families in this town, Diwali has been and continues to be the most important day of the year, a day where we rejoice with family, reunite with relatives, and reconnect with religion, just like Christmas or Rosh Hashanah for many. Diwali is a festival that started in India and is celebrated across the world today. And as a global phenomenon, it is important for the leaders of our esteemed community to arrive at a decision to celebrate, honor, and imbibe the spirit of this centuries-old tradition and message to this much-needed modern generation. It is time to show that our township is embarking on diversity, inclusion, and is willing to respect the traditions of these changing demographics. From a Bernard student's perspective, every Diwali growing up has been spent the same way. Coming home from school stressed, spending a little time with my family, and spending the entire rest of the night studying for a test or completing homework. I never get time to go to the temple or do the celebrations that other families get to do in other towns. Because we are not given a holiday, I'm not able to celebrate my tradition, from food to fireworks or even going to the temple, on the day that matters the most with friends and family. We have the opportunity to promote mindfulness of other cultures, yet we are not. Let's work hand in hand to celebrate and not exclude this rich heritage with accommodation of a holiday. While it is my right for my faith to receive equal treatment as others that celebrate Jewish and Christian religious holidays recognized by Bernard Township, I believe Diwali is beyond religions. A community seemingly founded on inclusion is still excluding a holiday that is significant to me and my community. The demographics in Bernard Township are significantly more diverse than the US national averages, and it is time that the calls of the active Indian community are answered. Diwali marks new beginnings, and it is time that Bernard's Township does this as well, by granting the Hindu, Jain, and Sikh communities this holiday. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm a senior here at Ridge, and tonight I was here with the Ridge track team, and I really wasn't planning on speaking or doing anything. I just wanted to support my team, but after being at this meeting, I felt that I really had to say something because I was really embarrassed. I was embarrassed that this was my school. I was embarrassed that I go to Ridge, and I wish that I went somewhere else because I feel like Ridge really needs to do something to make a lot of changes. And I'm not just talking about the track. Well, that's one thing where we have this great program and this great opportunity and amazing athletes, and we have a chance to do something amazing just as we have. And here people are saying, oh no, it's gonna damage the track, when it hasn't for so many years. And there are so many issues that I feel have been brushed away. For example, what all these people were talking about with the holiday of Diwali, and no one has even considered putting that as a holiday until now, and it's just ridiculous. Like, why do we have to discriminate against so many people? And I see this all the time, and I'm just so sick and tired of it, and there are so many more important issues that we need to be focusing on. What about our school system? There's so many things that are wrong with that. I feel like I haven't gotten the education that I should have gotten here, and now I'm a senior, and now it's too late. And I can't go back in time, and I can't get the education that I wish I had because teachers were too rude, and teachers would just push you to the side if you didn't understand, and they wouldn't take the time to spend with you to help you learn. And there are things like this that happen all the time, and there are so many ways that we can fix it. Why do we still have multiple choice tests? Why can't we convert to open-ended tests? These open-ended tests would finally give students a chance to explain their thought process, and teachers can read these and see why students think one way, and they can correct them, they can help them, and students can learn better. But instead, every single teacher assigns multiple choice tests. Here, take the test, and we take the test, and if you don't know, you circle a random answer, and that's it. Then you're done, and then the teachers, they look at the tests, and they grade them, and they give them back to you, but no one takes the time to help you, no one takes the time to correct you. And I just don't understand why the board is focusing on all these other issues and not the more important issues. Why can't we focus on our education and the students here? Why are we losing all these opportunities. We can do something great with the school, but instead we're going backwards, and our school's going to be nothing. And my sister is coming here next year as a freshman, and I wish she could go somewhere else because it's just embarrassing to send her here after my experience. And that's just what I want to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nestor Rossi, and I live at 14 Culberson Road in Basking Ridge. My son attends Oak Street School as a kindergartner. I'm part of BRASS, Bernard's Residents Advocating School Safety. At the last BOE and Township Committee meetings, many of us parents expressed our concerns as it relates to school security and student wellness. We have asked for security audits to be completed, for increased security in all of our schools, and for student wellness initiatives to be implemented. As a parent, I want a school resource officer known as an SRO in each of our schools, as well as a Class 3 special law enforcement officer, also known as an SALEO or retired police officer, to complement the SRO in the middle school and high school. I would also like additional guidance counselors in each of our schools to address the mental wellness with our children. The truth of the matter is, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in finance and an MBA in finance. I worked for Johnson & Johnson for 15 years. I share all of it with you because I recognize that I'm not an expert in these areas. I don't know what our vulnerabilities are as a school district. We need a security audit completed for our entire district as soon as possible. I've partnered with Mike Robertson, the prosecutor for Somerset County, and asked him if his office can complete a Homeland Security and infrastructure audit for our district. Mike confirmed that this can be done. Mr. Markarian, Mike said that he was going to reach out to you to discuss this. Have the audits been scheduled? We need to make this a top priority. We need to understand our vulnerabilities and design a plan of action. We need to make this a 3 to 5 month plan so that our schools are safer for the 2018-2019 school year. Once the audits are completed and action plans are designed, money should not be a concern. You're probably chuckling silently as I say this, but we will help you obtain the funding. As a community, we will come together. We have done this in the past, and we will continue to do it now. Whether it be grant writing, tax referendum, check writing campaign, or some other creative solution, we will do it. Please partner with us parents. See us as resources. We are willing to help. Please. We have all heard the saying, when seconds count, police officers are minutes away. We need increased security at our schools. We need to get away from the mentality, not our school, not our community. It can happen, and we need to be prepared. Just like how Great Mills High School in Maryland was prepared. The incident in Great Mills was over in seconds. Yes, seconds, as a result of the swift action of the SRO, Deputy First Class Blaine Gaskell. The shooting could have dragged on longer and proven deadlier if it were not for the rapid response of the SRO. Gaskell was instrumental in bringing the incident to a quick end. His response has been hailed as an example of exactly what an SRO is supposed to do in such circumstances. As soon as the gunfire began, he rushed to the scene and engaged the shooter exactly as he was trained to do. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan said that Gaskell is a tough guy who apparently closed in very quickly and took the right kind of action. And while I think it's still tragic, he saved many other people's lives. I also want to note that the roles and responsibilities of these officers goes beyond security and patrolling our hallways. It can include drug awareness, suicide protection, checking IDs at school entrances, partnering with the facilities director to ensure that our schools are secure, the doors, the locks, the list goes on. In closing, I beg, I plead with you, make school security and student wellness your top priority. I believe you said it's your top priority. We don't feel as if it is. We need to take action. Actions speak louder than words. Let's outline a 3 to 5 month plan as other school districts have done and are doing to ensure our schools are safer and more secure for 2018-2019 school year. The Somerset County Freeholders are urging all schools with one SRO to hire each of their schools. I hate to say this, but our school district is behind. Look at what our neighboring towns are doing. Randolph, Jefferson, Roxbury, all of those school districts have retired police officer programs. Mount Olive just hired 2 SROs and at least 4 SLEOs. Morris School District is hiring 10 officers. You have my commitment as well as other parents to work with you, from research to planning to funding. To give you an idea, since the last BOE meeting, I've had 2 1.5-hour discussions with the Director of Security at one of our neighboring school districts, as well as a couple email exchanges. I also had another 2-hour face-to-face meeting with that same individual to understand his program. I also had a 45-minute discussion with Mike Robertson, the prosecutor of Somerset County, as well as email exchanges to discuss the completion of an audit, as well as obtain his feedback. I also had another 45-minute meeting with Dr. Jane Costa and Mr. Scott Graber from Oak Street School to provide them with an update on where we are, as well as to gain their feedback, because I met with them in September when my son went to kindergarten, because I was concerned about the security in the school when I was just let in there. I meet. Yep, thank you. I'm meeting with Police Chief Mike Shimsky this Tuesday, tomorrow at 1:15, and Mike Robertson on Wednesday is coming to my home with 7 other parents to discuss this. This is just a sampling of what I have done. There are many other parents that are working on this. There is no cost for our service. We are free. Please, let's do this together. Let's do this for our community, our students, our educators. This is our future. We are here to help you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to partnering with each one of you.
Sherry Nelson, 195 Smoke Rise Road. I just want to say I agree with everything Nessa just said. We're part of the same organization and we're working together, and it's been fantastic how she has reached out to Mike Robertson. And I guess that is my question for Mr. Markarian. I believe you guys have spoken about that security audit, and my understanding it is free for the district. They can do all of our schools, so I really hope that's going to get scheduled as soon as possible. I did want to know, whenever you are working on improving the entrances at the schools and looking at those man traps and the things like that, are you consulting with our local police officers before construction plans go in place? I know you guys communicate a lot, but I just wonder if they're giving you input. Since those audits haven't already happened, are you working with law enforcement now for the things you have planned? I have a very specific question that impacts my son, and out of respect for not disclosing anything that would put any of our schools at risk, some special education programs in some of our schools have a different start time and a different end time. I won't name any buildings or anything specific, but I noticed that when those students, it's a couple of smaller classes sometimes, are in the schools at different hours, they're not getting the same security as the regular school day. The types of procedures you would have of keeping all the doors closed during the school day from start to finish, except for an entrance that is manned and someone sees who's coming and going, that goes out the window at a certain time of day. And you have children who are not here for an optional reason, for an after-school club or something. They are here for their school day. And so it seems like that's an oversight that we haven't realized, that we do have kids still in class during those times in some of our buildings, and I really would like for you guys to change what's going on with that as soon as possible. I have a couple of questions regarding the budget presentation. The $525,000, I'm rounding for guidance. I listened to the explanation, but I want to make sure I understood none of that was for additional counselors. The explanation just, I didn't understand it. Maybe I can go back and watch the video again, or if you guys can answer specifically what, that's a lot of money, so I just thought there would be 1 or 2 new counselors somewhere in that figure. I did notice the $371,000 for some of the security upgrades. That sounds great. Those look like a really good start. And then a couple of the other things that were talked about earlier, the snow days. I would love for you guys to look at that policy going forward. I get where you are on this year's calendar, but I recall other school districts build in more snow days, like some maybe have 5 snow days even built in, but then they have a plan to give the days back if you don't use them. I really think we need to do something like that to avoid these situations in the future. And then really quickly, I heard Mrs. Korn's question about the gifted and talented math program. Have any kids left it? I can tell you one did. That's all. Thank you.
Rippy Carta, still at 58 Independence. I want to thank the board and specifically the curriculum committee tonight for taking a look at the Gifted and Talented program and listening to those of us who have spoken in the past about expanding it. I feel extremely happy and satisfied this evening that you all have taken our points into consideration and have at least thought about it, about how you can potentially address the needs of the students that can truly benefit from that. Also, I'd like to say, as you're considering the additional holiday of Diwali being added to the school calendar, I implore you to take a look at the student body and reflect the religious holidays celebrated by that student body, whether it is any of the Jewish holidays, the Christian holidays, the Indian holiday of Diwali, but truly reflect what the student body is, so that it truly does seem like our school is providing equal treatment and equal respect to all the students. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan Lipset at Linden Drive. I want to thank you guys for the update on the security experts that you're interviewing, and I want to echo what the other parents have said and just really urge you to make that a priority in terms of vetting, hiring competent either firms or if it's can be provided to the county, but really to make that a priority. Along with the security piece, to me, this is a two-pronged sort of approach, and the other one is the SEL. I'm pleased to see the ad hoc committee. I know it was sort of, the inception of it was maybe for a short time period, a couple of years, and I urge you to keep that as a committee on your board forever, because school climate is really the foundation of both security and learning. Along those lines, I want to ask you to consider adding more guidance counselors at the elementary school level. The American School Counselor Association recommends a 1 to 250 student to counselor ratio, and currently we're double that at the elementary schools, about one counselor for every 500 or so students. I understand that that can't happen overnight, but I would implore you to think of some creative approaches to roll that in, whether it's a floating counselor, the way they have floating instrument and music lessons, a way to increase that presence in the elementary school, I think will pay off in terms of our SEL as they move through the higher grades in the district. And also to Jen Korn's point about the G&T gifted math program, I also know students anecdotally who are really struggling to keep up with that program. And I have a second grade daughter who loves math and would love to do the G&T program if she would be accepted, and I don't think I would put her in it because it doesn't, in my mind, a telescope program doesn't reflect what our math and STEM learners need to be achieving for. It needs to be, what did I write down? Critical thinking and divergent thinking. That's really where our STEM leaders are going to be. They're not just going to be accelerated, they're going to be able to use that material and that information in a novel way. So I don't know if you guys have done parent surveys or if really have any data on the success of this program, but before it continues to roll up, I would urge you to take a look at that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sundari Rao. I'm from 5 Ross Lane, and I just wanted to talk about the curriculum since you were speaking about the curriculum and introducing the accelerated program for the 5th graders. So I have a junior and I have an 8th grader, and I've been in this township for the last 13 years, and I have noticed how the mental health issue has increased in the last 10 years. And every time it gets put onto the parents saying, you know, you need to take care of your child. But we don't realize that there is so much of academic pressure on those children. Before we introduce the accelerated program in the elementary schools, we should actually check the high schoolers and see how many of them are successful in the honors and the AP programs. Because the AP classes are 35 children to 40 children in a class. A CP class is 20 children. I would urge for it to be the other way around, because the AP and the honor students need that help. When they go to the teachers asking for help, teachers don't help. They say, come with specific questions or you don't come to me. And these children actually go outside of our school, or the school teachers come home to teach them. And these children go tutoring. They take tutoring outside to excel. It's not the school that is teaching them. So I have another urge, a request, to stop our school teachers from to be able to do tutoring in our school system. Because on an average, a teacher charges $100 to $125 an hour. They teach Monday through Friday from 4 to 9 in the night. They earn $3,000 cash. Why will the teacher be motivated to teach in a classroom, is my question. So before we introduce these accelerator programs, I would suggest please do a survey with the children and the parents to see if this is really needed at this point. Because we are pushing our children. If you introduce an accelerator program, the parent is going to push the child, saying, you missed by 5 points. You need to go do the summer program. You need to get into this. The child is not ready all the time. Why are we not thinking of it from a child's point of view is my question. We are looking at it from a school point of view. Our school needs to shine. But our school needs to shine in getting the child to get the knowledge, not the marks, not to get our school up there through the marks. Please, please, please consider our children. Their mental health issues is due to academic pressures, a lot more than actually the mental pressure that they have at home, or any health issues, I would say. I have taken the youth mental first aid training, and I have been seeing a lot of children. I've been volunteering a lot of children, and I do talk to them. And the first thing that they come up with is that the pressure that they have at school and at home. Because at home, parents are working. They come home, they are with their children for 3 to 4 hours. If the grades drop, the first thing they say is, what went wrong? And then they go to the school teacher says, okay, this is what I can do. Your child is not able to cope with it. So please, I would request, please have more teachers for honors and AP courses, and see how we can help our children excel in the honors and AP courses that they take. Please do not introduce any more accelerated programs to the children. Let them live. Let them be children is all I have to say. Thank you.
James Vopel, Evergreen Place. Have several topics to discuss. First, with respect to Mr. Markarian's comments about the collective bargaining with respect to Friday before Memorial Day. You can still have your staff college in the afternoon and still have a half day in the morning, so you're not really getting rid of staff college altogether. So that's something that I'm sure the teachers would be amenable to. Secondly, with respect to the budget, how is the savings from the self-insurance plan being applied to the budget specifically in terms of dollars, and where are those dollars going, and how it's being broken down? I'm glad Mr. Baldessari is in the audience, or he was. But unfortunately, he doesn't have a chance to hear this, and I hope the board is still continuing to watch with what's going on at Dewey Meadow and also at the quarry. Because as of the Township Council meeting tomorrow, there's a proposed settlement with Dewey Meadow Crown Court for 222 additional housing units that will likely be voted on tomorrow. Add that to the quarry plan of 380 housing units. And then we have other neighboring projects that are really going to decimate the town in terms of traffic. I don't think our town can really sustain any of these types of developments, for the sole reason that any type of increase in enrollment, 2.5%, will not be covered by the 2% cap. And if you take a look at these 602 homes that will be built in these two areas, can our district theoretically encapsulate those students? And I'm going to use the district's demographers' numbers, 1.1 students, which I think is very low. You're averaging 662 new students within this district based on those two developments. So I don't think we're going to be able to sustain that. I don't think our budget is going to be able to sustain that in terms of the 2% cap. I know that school security has been a hot button topic. I'm going to talk to you about it from a teacher's perspective. And we have a lot of discussions about security in our district. We've taken measures and floated bonds and improved schools and have encasement hallways and rooms and bulletproof doors and whatever else. The bottom line is this, and I mentioned this to you guys several weeks ago. No matter what we do as a district, what you do as a board to try to make our schools safer, that's really not going to matter. And it's really sad to say that. Because in our society, if somebody is going to want to take a life, unfortunately, they can do that, and they will go to any means to go ahead and do that. And when it comes to schools, we have drills, and I won't get into specifics, and I emailed the board a type of drill. So if somebody wants to eliminate somebody, they can do it. No matter how safe we think our schools are, no matter what type of implements we put into place, we could build a huge wall around every building, but there's still that off chance that that's not going to be enough. So I just want to put that out there. I know it's an unfortunate state of our society and where we are today as a society, that anybody can just walk up to anybody and just, take them out. And it's sad, especially when it's a student, when it's a child. And that's why I talked to you several weeks ago about having more guidance counselors in the elementary schools, because this is where prevention can start. And when you have a 500% increase in suicide prevention at Oak Street School from last year to this year, we need more counselors. And so with the declining enrollment, I would hope that when we shuffle and we move dollars around, we have the ability to take some of those dollars and to hire more counselors. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rena Singhvi from 8 Independence Drive. So again, I'm here to urge you to give Diwali as a holiday on our school calendar. We've heard back the response from the board that we got, or from Nick that we got, was that 1st March is the deadline to change the calendar. But we do know that December generally is the deadline to bring any changes, but then Martin Luther King Day was given on either Feb 27th or 28th. So it just seems a little too convenient that March 1st suddenly became the deadline. Seems like the board has the fluidity to change the calendar as and when the community needs it, and that's how it should be. That makes sense, that it shouldn't be about rigidity. It should be fluid, and it should just bring about changes as and when the community needs it. So it seems to me that the Indian community, the Hindu religion, their religious holiday has been ignored for years, even though the community has grown, and we have asked for this holiday for many years now, but it has just been ignored and brushed aside. So now we shouldn't be about rigidity of a deadline, and we should try to be fluid. We should try to work towards saying yes, rather than finding excuses to say no. So I really urge the board to think about it and not come up with this response that March 1st is the deadline. You should really think about giving all these students, this large Indian community, what they really deserve for many, many years. This is the time you should do it. And November 7th, I believe, is a half day already, which is the day of Diwali. So it doesn't seem like it's too much to ask. I think it's fairly easy this year if we can get a full day off. We would really, really appreciate the board hearing our community's needs and accepting them. Thank you very much.
And I'm here just to pick up my phone.
Hi, it's Elaine D'Addario, back from 46 Dykeman Place. I had 3 other things to mention. In consideration, if you could still not shut that door on the snow days, maybe we could consider park, taking the last half day of park testing. That wouldn't be stressful for the kids taking the test because the test would be over. Instead of having a half day, maybe you could have a full day. Hopefully you'll consider that. But 2 other things I wanted to talk about were the BTEA does these classes, I guess you could call them, and I was just recently at one, and I wanted to give them credit because a lot of people don't know about it or don't even think to compliment the fact that these teachers do these things after hours on their own time, volunteer, they don't get paid. I could show you the frame I made in woodworking. Mr. Bykirk spent 2 days. He goes to work at 7 a.m., spent his time till about 9, 10 o'clock both those nights. Teaching 4 tables full of parents how to do woodworking, and it was wonderful. And I'm going to do the Google Classroom one because I need to keep up with my kids who do it all day, and I don't know what I'm doing on there. So I just wanted to appreciate that because that's not said enough, or sometimes people don't know it exists. I put it on the Facebook pages to try to acknowledge it, and he even had a waiting list. And then I put photos afterwards so that people could realize it's really a valuable thing that teachers are doing, and that's on their off time. And I know he has a young family to boot. So that was something positive I wanted to bring up. The last thing also is I wanted to give kudos to Mrs. Hudak and all the WAM staff that did that DC trip. They had a snow day before, a half-day delay opening, and still got over 400 plus kids out to DC and back safely, soundly, with a wealth of information and knowledge, an experience they'll never forget, and most students don't ever get to do. The fact that she's been doing it for over 16 some odd, I don't even know how many years, and every time there's a rumor on Basking Ridge Moms that she's taking it out, we know it's not true. It's too important to her. I was fortunate enough to have both my kids do it, but I wanted to give them a lot of credit because I know, I want to give you a lot of credit too, Mr. Markarian. I know it was really tough winter. It was tough with the logistics of how you're going to inform the community and stuff, and I know there were late nights we were getting SOS, so I get we all suffered through that, and you were on the job the whole time, so we really appreciate that. And that's why I think you need a spring break too, so let's give you that extra day. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else down there for public comment? I can't see down there where people are signing in. No? Okay, it's bedtime. Okay, so I'm going to close public comment. Mr. Markarian, did you want to respond to a few of the comments that are straightforward enough to respond to?
Sure, I'll try. There was a question about, have I spoken to Mike Robertson? Yes, I spoke to Mike Robertson. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't know what he said to other people. I know that we talked about school security visits and audits. There is a department at the DOE that does visit schools and review drills and school security procedures. The word audit, I think, could have a lot of meanings, and I'm not so sure that the DOE's staff is geared up at this moment to be doing school audits everywhere quickly. So I think that just realistically, that process, if it happens, is likely to take a long time. Just to be honest about that. Not that we are not on the list, and not that we're not more than happy to participate with the DOE and the police department in doing visits and drills and audits. I told Mr. Robertson we're more than happy to participate. I just don't know how fast all of that is going to happen with the available staff to do it. As far as other security measures involving staff, I think it's a reasonable thing to do, to have some discussion about it. We are having discussion about it, and we do want to talk to some consultants about what might be reasonable. So we are lining at least one, if not two, different consultants to come to the district and take a look at this issue with us. I know that it is a significant expense, and I am concerned about looking to parent groups to fund personnel that would need to be sustained over the long term, that could number in the hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on who you're hiring. The issue of the timing of different school programs, I think that's a valid concern. It goes beyond just school programs that might have an hour shift one way or another. It really is something that permeates the buildings especially the middle school and the high school, but even the elementary schools with mini units and other programs that are regularly scheduled that go beyond the regular school day. I think it's a perfectly valid concern, and not something that has an easy answer for some of the reasons that Mr. Vopel was talking about. I heard requests for guidance counselors. I heard requests for AP teachers, for SROs, for SLEO 3s, and probably some others that I missed. You know, there's a limit to what we can do with what we have, but certainly we'll try to make the best use of our personnel dollars as we finish doing the budgeting this spring. Oh yeah, there was a question about the guidance line. If I'm not mistaken, I know Mr. McLaughlin will correct me, but I believe the question was about the guidance line where we had an increase that I believe was associated to ESS being budgeted on that line, and also some of the Title I funds that we lost this year. We took a piece of what we thought we could afford to do and put it on that line as well, so that represented a significant impact there. Somebody was talking about academic pressures. It is a reality. I'm not sure how to, I mean, it's been an ongoing discussion for the last few years. We're trying to make a difference, but, there's realities in choices that kids make, so a lot of that comes down to trying to work with kids and families to try to make good choices to limit the exposure that they're confronted with in terms of academic pressures and course selection. And as far as the entrances go and the facilities go, we use guidance documents that were worked on collaboratively between multiple agencies with respect to the kinds of things that we want to do with facilities. Man traps are definitely on the list, as is key controls, door access, and security cameras, which are kind of the areas where we've tried to invest money. So I feel confident that what we've been investing in is appropriate. Oh, right, and then obviously there were many public comments with respect to Diwali as a school holiday and a request for that as a school holiday. The school calendar is set by the Board of Education. I can't do that on my own. The question about March 1st, why March 1st? That's what's in the board policy, that the board may adopt changes to future year calendars provided that the changes are made by March 1st of the current year. So with the policy written as it is, that's why that date has been shared out. It's not a convenient thing. It's not a coincidental thing. It's been in the policy for at least 3 or 4, 5 years now, based on what I see as the adoption date. So it wasn't like somebody just said, hey, let's put March 1st there so we can try to make it difficult for people. That's not the case at all. I think that's about it.
In terms of, we've gotten a lot of feedback tonight on a lot of different topics. I just want to address the Diwali topic really quickly. I think the board has already expressed the interest in looking at our calendar to see what we can do in terms of making it a little more functional for weather-related problems. I think, the calendar is complicated, and it's sometimes if you're only focusing on one aspect of it, it sounds like there's a simple solution to it. But we did a calendar survey how many years ago was that now? Quite a while ago, 5 years ago. And we thought we were, doing a wonderful thing by asking the community asking the staff and asking the students what they wanted. And it actually really complicated things because we got very mixed signals. There wasn't necessarily, people wanted a lot of things, but the things were contradictory. So everyone wanted to start the school year late, but get out early, but still have a lot of breaks and all their holidays. And so that was not really possible. So then we tried to look at the survey, well, what were the priorities? And it was, it was difficult because we had half the people saying they didn't want any single holidays off. They would rather just have a couple big long breaks and no single holidays. People can just take their religious holidays as needed for their own religion. Other people felt very strongly about particular religious holidays. And so the survey results were kind of all over the place. So the board had to just do the best that it could given the the strongest opinion, things that stood out. And, one of them was to finish graduation earlier because of a number of reasons. One being instructional time. We start so late in New Jersey compared to the rest of the country. Our kids are at a disadvantage for AP tests and for park tests or whatever kind of tests, trying to cram everything in before these testing windows. And also, a lot of teachers and students have other obligations that start in June. People work at other jobs, and kids have to be places. And college students that were graduating needed to be at their college orientations, and they hadn't even had their graduation yet. And teachers that were working at camps, the camp's starting, and we're still in school. So we tried to move graduation earlier, which kind of put a crunch on other things, and that's how we lost the whole February break. So, I think that people want to look at the calendar again. It's been a while. I think it's time. I think now with the weather things that we've had, a priority will be seeing if we can find something to do to give us a little more flexibility with snow days. And so I think that, I'm in favor of including Diwali in this discussion of what we can do with their calendar going forwards. So.
And I just want to thank the members of the Basking Ridge Indian community who've taken the time to reach out to us, to send us emails, and for all the thoughtful commentary that we received tonight. I think it's certainly worthy of further discussion and policy. I particularly want to thank Karthik, and I'm sorry I didn't catch the name of the impressive young woman who spoke to us too. We're always particularly pleased when students take the time to come out and share their opinions with us. And just to expand a little further, thank you to all of you who are here tonight. It's been kind of a long evening, and someone said the true thing. We were elected to represent all of you, and we certainly can't do it accurately and completely without you coming out and sharing your opinions with us. So thank you for that.
I just want to echo both Mrs. McEwen and Mrs. Swerner in their comments regarding the Basking Ridge Indian community's attendance this evening. Thank you for coming and for voicing your requests, concerns, and it's much appreciated. I also want to address the calendar generally and say that as Mrs. McEwen indicated, it's a very complex discussion. There are a lot of different priorities from different people for many different reasons. And at the end of the day, I'm going to speak loudly and clearly and say I was a parent of a high school senior who didn't graduate until June 26th, and no one likes that. So we have to look at the big picture and remember everything that goes into what we've talked about tonight. Snow days, which clearly we need additional ones, single holidays, breaks that we want and need for respite and refreshment. And it won't be easy, and it won't be without some sacrifices somewhere, because we have to start school at some point and end it at another point, and we're not a nation who goes to school year-round. So out there, because it's kind of putting that out, not going to be without its complexities.
I just want to say thanks to probably, I guess, all the students who are now home. But I think it was great to hear from the kids because they were well-spoken, they were intelligent, they were prepared, they were thoughtful, they were emotional. And I think that's great feedback to have from the board in addition to the parents. But when you can hear directly from the kids about what's going on that you don't see or that you don't know, I think that's a really great piece of feedback for the board to have. And especially when when you see the kids and how well prepared they are and how well spoken they are, I think it's a really great experience for a board member.
Is there anyone else? No. Okay, so we are now, I guess, at board forum. That was kind of our response to public comment. So does anyone have anything for board forum tonight? Karen?
I just have to say for the record, I have to change one of my votes because I missed something in the agenda. I need to change personnel number 5. I have to abstain from. Sorry.
Is there anything else for board forum? Okay, we are up to adjournment.
I just have a question.
You do? Okay.
Oh, did we formally refer the calendar to policy for discussion, or Like, how does
Yeah, I
that
think
work?
we've formally decided we want to look at the calendar, so the policy
I just
committee would
didn't
be
know
the
if it
place to
needed
start. Yeah.
on the record.
Okay,
We
so
need
we're
a vote?
officially, should we take a vote to send it to policy?
Yeah. I think
Sure.
so.
Okay. Do I have to make, does someone have to make a motion for this?
I'd like
Okay,
to vote.
so someone has to make a motion. Okay, Mrs. Gray is making a motion, Mrs. Wooldridge is seconding it to send the calendar to policy for discussion. So can we have a roll call, please? A voice vote? Okay, who's in favor of that?
Aye.
Any noes? Opposed? No? Okay, great. Anything else for board forum?
I just wanted on the record, please, no more snow. We're done with snow.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so someone like to make a motion for adjournment? Mrs. Swerner and Mrs. Korn, thank you.